Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining me for Business Studies Grade 11. I'm Mr. Jonas. Right, today we are going to look at a new topic, production function. So far, we are only left with one topic to finish this term's work. So at the beginning of the lockdown, we started with creative thinking, problem solving, stress management, and after that we did marketing activities. Now we want to talk about production function, which is one of the 8 business functions, right? And then lastly, the next coming weeks, then we do professionalism and ethics, right? So what do we need to know about production function, right? The first thing, there are only 4 things that are very important there, which is the production systems. That's what we're going to deal with. And then after that we deal with production planning, and then after that also we talk about safety management, and then lastly we talk about quality control. Those are the only 4 things that are very important in production function, right? So we'll be dealing with each up until the end of next week, every bullet point here. So for today we are only going to talk about the production systems, which is made up of the mass production, batch production, and your production, right? Before we go into detail about all these production systems, guys, remember production function is one of the 8 business functions, right? And secondly, remember that production function mainly is responsible for producing goods that are going to be sold by the business, right? Production function is mainly important in manufacturing companies that manufacture goods so that they can sell them. So those companies, they buy raw materials, convert those raw materials through production process, which happens in the production function, and then come up with finished products or semi-finished products which they can sell, right, to other businesses or other customers, right? So production function is all about producing goods. That's all that we're talking about here, producing goods. So if we're producing goods, which system are we going to use to produce those goods? What is the planning that is needed on the production when you want to produce goods? That's production planning. What are the safety measures that should be put in place? Because production, when you're producing goods, there are a lot of hazards, there are a lot of health and safety issues that are very critical. So what are the safety measures that we need to put in place, and the laws that deals with those safety measures, right? And then the last thing is quality control. You need to control the quality of the products that you're going to produce, definitely, right? So those are the things that we'll be looking at under this topic. So today we are only going to look at the production systems first of all, and then next week we talk about production planning, safety, and quality control, and some calculations that we do there, right? Production systems. Production systems, guys, it just means methods that are used by the business to produce goods, right? Or in other words, production system is a method by which goods are produced in a business. Production systems are used to produce goods. Those are ways in which you produce your goods, right? We have 3 of them, 3 different types of main production systems. We have what is called mass production, we have job production, and batch production, right? On those 3 production systems, you just need to know their characteristics, you need to know their impact, which is the advantages and disadvantage of using that method or that production system. That's all that we need to know about these 3 production systems. So we read each production system, make sure you understand its characteristics, you understand its advantages and its disadvantages. That's all. So the word impact, it means the advantages and disadvantages of that production system. Okay, let's start with the mass production. Right, mass production, guys, what happens here is products or goods are produced in large quantities, and the goods that we produce under mass production are identical or standardized. When you say products are identical or standardized, we mean they are similar. They look exactly alike in terms of size, quality, color, and nature. Everything, they look exactly the same, right? So mass production is mainly used when you are producing a single product, and you are producing that single product in large quantities. So the easiest way of doing it, you produce it in masses. In masses, it means in large quantities. Mass production, so it means producing goods in large quantities, right? So those products, they should be like, they are produced in large quantities and they're identical. They look exactly the same, they're not different. Good example, Coke. Coke, it looks exactly the same. 2-liter Coke, it looks exactly the same, and they can produce 2-liter Cokes exactly the same way. So they can use mass production when they're producing Coke, right? So how does it work? Products are moved along assembly lines. Mass production uses what are called assembly lines or conveyor belts, automatic conveyor belts. It means they move in a line, whereby in each and every along that line there's a small thing that is happening to the product up until the end of the assembly line, whereby the product is finished, right? So maybe the beginning there will be a container, and then the next stage it will be filled in exactly the same amount of quantity. The next stage it will be wrapped, the next stage it will be closed, and the next stage it will be maybe labeled up until it will be cleaned. In an assembly line, it goes in a line, and on that line there are small steps that are carried out up until the end of that line, where the product is finished or is done produced, and then it is packed and being sold or sent where it's supposed to go, right? Another thing also is that under mass production there is a division of labor, meaning workers, they carry out work on a repetitive tasks. They carry out a repetitive task. It means they just do one small simple task that they do each and every time for a longer period of time. They don't have much things to do, right? So also the kind of labor that is required there is low or semi-skilled labor. Those people that are only trained to do only certain specific simple tasks. They don't have much, they don't need much skills, they don't need specialized skills. So that's why we say there's division of labor. Division of labor, it means they are divided into doing very small tasks that they're supposed to do, right, in an assembly line. So you have, in a mass production, it is heavily reliant on technology. It is heavily reliant on machines, and then on those machines as well, there are also few semi-skilled workers that are put in place to help in the production of those goods, right? That's why also we say special and single purpose machines are used, which uses a lot of technology and robots, and it means it's quite expensive. Products need a large and regular demand. You can only use mass production when you're producing a product that is in regular demand and that is actually in large demand, right? So machines are well arranged and balanced so that there is a continuous flow of goods and effective use of floor space in the factory, right? Mass production, guys, also is known also as uninterrupted production. It means it's a production that is not interrupted. It's a production that is continuous. It's called continuous production or uninterrupted production, meaning that this is whereby goods are produced continuously without any interruption or without any disturbance up until it's done being produced, right? Going for examples of mass production, right? These are good examples of mass production that I just googled on the internet, right? There are different kinds of mass production. Here you see they're producing this product. This is what is called a conveyor belt. a continuous production system whereby the product is moving along the line, and along this line there are small things that are happening. The first, maybe they are being filled, after that they'll be wrapped, and after that they'll be packaged, and then they'll be closed up until they reach the last stage of production. So these mass production, they happen in different kind of products. For example, in the mineral waters also they do the same. Can you see that they're in large quantities, they're producing, and they're in conveyor belts? It means they're moving along the line from one step to the next, to the next, to the next, up until they reach a next stage, right? So it means in each and every stage there that you see, there will be a process that is happening there. It means a person will be doing a small task in that line of production. A person will be doing a very small task that are not complicated at all. Maybe they'll be just closing the lids, or they'll be just polishing, or they'll be just doing something, packing them, or something like that. That's basically usually what happens in the mass production, right? I'm just trying to look for example whereby you can see workers doing only small tasks, right? Let me just open this one. So here, as you can see, these are cars that are produced in mass production, and you can have few employees there that are doing a very small simple task. Each and every person here is doing a different small task. So you do the same task repetitively, again and again and again and again, right? And then after that also, if you check also this one, it means these are products that are moving along an assembly line, and each person here is doing a different job, right, that they're doing here. That's what is called a mass production systems. Guys, you can Google it also and check out what people will be doing and see what actually happens in the production system, right? What are the advantages of this? Mass production speeds up production process, definitely. Why? Because all products are moving in a single line, in a continuous process. There's no disturbance, so it speeds up production process, and the time it's actually quicker when you're producing products, right? Another advantage, it reduces cost of production process. Why? Because everything just goes through the same thing and they're done quickly, right? So unit cost of the product is cheaper as a result of reduced price, and that can result in reduced price. That's why sometimes you wonder, how come actually if you hold a 2-liter Coke, it only costs you 15 rand, and if you try to calculate all the ingredients that they use, and the plastic and packaging and the workers and stuff, it doesn't add up 22 rand. The reason for that is because if you produce things in large quantities, the cost of producing it becomes less, and therefore it reduces the price of the final product, right? And also another advantage, greater control of the production process, because you know what is happening. Quality is standardized. That's another advantage. When you say quality is standardized, it means quality is exactly the same for all the products. There's no difference in quality. There's nothing whereby sometimes the other one is good, the other one is bad. No, they're standardized because they're using robots and machines. Robots are accurate, and machines are very accurate, right? And the machines are operated by skilled workers, by those semi-skilled workers who know how to operate their machines, right? But the disadvantage here, main disadvantage actually, is production stoppages through breakdowns in machines can cost a business. If there's a breakdown in machine, it means the whole production has to stop. Why? Because everything goes through the same line. So one thing that is on that line breaks down, the whole thing stops, and that could cost money, a lot of money for the business. Another disadvantage is that it is difficult to deal with unexpected changes in demand. Now when you have less demand, what are you going to do? Because you have a whole heavy machines that are meant to produce large quantities, but now maybe demand is now very low, it's difficult to deal with it, right? So it means it's not flexible. Mass production machines are not flexible. You cannot change them to suit what is happening, to change or to suit demands, right? And also workers, they get demotivated and they get bored. Why? Because they just do the same work again and again. They don't have anything exciting that they do. just do the same thing again and again and again and again. So it's something that is boring for them, right? And also another thing that is difficult there, if one piece of machine breaks, the whole production process stops, and that is a disaster, right? And also, if the machine equipment requires high specialized operators that earn high income, a lot of money, yeah, of course, and it is capital intensive, meaning that large amounts of capital need to be invested in buying those machines. Machines that are used in mass production are quite expensive, and therefore it requires a lot of capital. Mass production is more capital intensive as compared to labor intensive. I mean that when I say capital intensive, I mean that mass production requires a lot of machines as compared to employees who can work there. So it is heavily reliant on machines, and machines require a lot of capital, right? I hope guys will understand. Guys, on the characteristics, advantages and disadvantages, just know 3 characteristics, know 3 advantages and 3 disadvantages. I've given you a lot so that you can make a choice on which ones are easier for you to understand and grasp, right? The next production method is batch production. Batch production now is quite a bit different now from mass production. Batch production, it is generalized and it's a multi-purpose machines that are used for batch production, which are cheaper to use, right? What we mean here is the word batch, it means in groups. So batch production, this is when you are producing products in groups actually, as opposed to producing them in an assembly line or in a conveyor belt, whereby all these single products are the same and it goes to the conveyor belt and it's standardized. But in batch production, they are produced in groups. Reason for this is most businesses now, they don't produce one product, they produce different, they have one similar, one good big product, but it has got different characteristics. They have different flavors, they have different sizes, they have different shapes and all those kind of things. So mass production is not suitable for those kind of production. Therefore they use batch production, where you can produce them in groups. It means a size for 500 mils, a size for 1 of 1 liters, a size for 5 liters, and the production. So you're producing in different batches because of their different size or different colors. You have maybe lavender, and then after that you have another flavor, another whatever, different flavors, yeah. So those kind of, you have vanilla, you have strawberry, you have mixed fruit, right, when you're producing those, right? So they have different flavors. So we cannot produce all of them in mass production. If they are like that, you produce them in batches, in groups. Now we want to deal with a group of vanilla flavor, after that you do a group of mixed fruit, after that you do a group of strawberries flavor and stuff like that. That's what is called batch production. So that's why here we say now a multi-purpose machine can carry out various tasks, carry out a variety of tasks, and the same machine can be used on different settings. That's the major advantage of batch production. You can use the same machine for different kinds of products that you are making actually. Unlike mass production, same machine, same product, no difference. It cannot actually be changed, it's inflexible. But for batch production, the machines are flexible, they can be changed to produce or to do a variety of tasks, right? But one batch of products must be completed before the next one is started. So it means you produce one batch, then you stop, and then you change settings, and then you continue with another batch again. The production line runs for a certain length of time, then machines must be stopped and restarted so that they can continue the different one. Batch production also can be used for large quantities. It can be used for large quantities, as well as can be used for different kind of products that are different in a certain way, right? So it needs continuity of demand. You cannot use batch production only for few items, right? If the demand changes, it could lead to overstocking of products. That's the major problem of batches, because they are produced in certain batches on certain numbers. Maybe we produce 50 quantities, and now if we have less demand, you're going to have overstocking, because you're going to have to keep a lot of stock in your business, right? Batch production also, it uses less skilled labor, but it uses skilled labor and semi-skilled labor as well, right? Just like mass production, it used a lot of low-end unskilled labor and semi-skilled labor. Batch production uses also semi-skilled labor and skilled labor sometimes, who are able to operate those machines quietly and who are specialized in operating those machines, right? Let me just look at also some of the examples of batch productions. These are examples. Can you see this is a container in batch? It is usually mainly used for food industry and for clothing industry, where you can make a certain number of t-shirts that are exactly the same, and then you change your production, you make another t-shirts which are similar design but maybe different color, things like this, or different like this. A good example is a bakery. A bakery, what do? They use an oven. It's just a big oven, but can be used for different things. They can make muffins, they can make scones, they can make bread. But when they're making bread, they make them in batches. They put a whole trolley of bread. Maybe I don't know how many loaves that are gonna be there. They put maybe 30 to 50 loaves, and then they make them in that bakery. When they're done, they stop the bakery, and then they put those loaves somewhere, and then they can put also another whole big trays of muffins or of scones or whatever they are baking again, and then or buns or those kind of things, and then they start again. You understand? So these are examples of batch production. Or if also sometimes they do it, maybe sometimes also for things like cakes, when they're making cakes that are similar, they can use also batch production, right? Also cars, they do that. They can use batches, especially cars with the different models and different colors, right? They can have black ones, now they want to make yellow ones, now they want to make these ones, right? So they can also do that. They can do them in batches, right? So those are examples of batch production, right? Going to advantages. Same advantage as mass production. Unit cost is reduced when batches are made in large numbers, right? Production is flexible, definitely, because you can change and produce different kinds of products, and we can have different orders with different sizes, different styles, different colors, different flavors, right? And you have specialized machines which can increase productivity. Please write, is it an advantage? If you write specialized machine, tell me why is it an advantage? Because it can increase it productivity, right? Costs are also not as high as large batches to similar products can be produced at one time, right? Companies can take advantages of buying in bulk, right? Also, those are advantages. I spoke about most of them now just when I was explaining. Machines are not expensive as for mass production, definitely. These machines, they are more specialized, they are affordable, they're expensive but not as much as those ones that are used for mass production, right? But also do not need also skilled operators. They only need semi-skilled operators. There's a great flexibility, as plans can be changed and you can adjust and you can do those things, right? And also another advantage is, if you can have one batch that is bad, you can just throw it away and continue making another batch that is good. But for mass production, once this whole thing is bad, it means the whole production is bad. That's the problem, right? And you can lose a lot of money for that. And quantities of batches can be changed easily and can reduce wastage, right? If actually things go wrong, right? Major disadvantage, guys, of batch production is time. Time is lost, especially when doing changes. When you're changing batches. Now after you're done producing bread, now you want to change and do other settings for muffins. Now you have to change and you have to wait. That waiting period is time that is being lost for production of other goods. And high stock levels, it results in high stock levels of raw materials because we're going to use them, because we're going to have materials for different batches. So it will result in stocking a whole lot of raw materials, which may require a lot of space. And also money is tied up actually in stock levels, or in the stock that you actually keep. If you're keeping a lot of stock, it results in cash flow problems because all the money you've used to buy stock that you're keeping and that you haven't sold yet. And another also disadvantage is machines that need to be serviced and cleaned all the time you change the batches. So that's another disadvantage there. And the final goods needs to be stored because we're going to produce different kinds of goods, so you need to store them differently and then use them later on differently. Right, those are the disadvantages. There are a lot of them, guys. Look at them and just choose the ones that you can think are possible for you. Only 3 advantages, 3 disadvantages is fine. Time delays in waiting for one page to finish and start another one. Yeah, it's a disadvantage. Right, the last production function, they said there are 3. We spoke about mass production, producing things continuously without any interruption. And then we have batch production. Batch production, guys, is called interrupted production because you stop, it is interrupted. Batch production and job production, this one, they are both called interrupted production systems. Why? Because they get interrupted, they get disturbed. You stop once and start another thing, you stop once and start another thing. But mass production is called continuous production or uninterrupted production because it continues to flow, right, without any disturbances or interruptions, right. Job production, this is quite easy. Under the characteristics, a production system that business use when they produce a once-off job for a specific customer. Right, that's what is called a job production. It deals specifically with what customers require. It's a custom-made production whereby you produce things according to the customer requirements. So it means each and every job that you do is different. It's not exactly the same. Right, that's why you said a once-off job. Why? Because each and every customer will have different needs. So therefore, different ways of doing the job are going to be used. Good examples: artist paintings. They paint a different painting all the time. They can paint 10 paintings that look exactly the same. Each painting is going to be different because of different needs. Each order for the job is unique and require different ideas and techniques. Yes, it required skilled labor. Job production required people with skilled labor who are specialized, who are skilled in certain areas, who know what they're doing. Other examples, guys, of job production is construction companies. When they're constructing buildings, houses and roads, those things, they're totally different. Each and every project is different. The house that they built here for you is different from the house that they're going to build for your friend. So the difference in house, it means different requirements. So that is job production now. So it means you're going to do it individually, right? Same with construction of buildings. A building, each and every building is different. So they use each and every project is a once-off job, is totally different and it's not the same, right? So it requires a lot of skilled labor and innovation because we're going to have a lot of different things. One other advantage: company can be innovative and change ideas and designs with very little cost. It's quite easy to adjust and change things. Also, guys, another example of job production is this guy's designers of clothes. I think that's what you're more familiar with. Yes, they design. You go there and say, I want something like this, another person wants something like that, another person wants something like that. So those designers, they make different things all together each and every time they're dealing with a specific customer. So they use job production, right? Every project is different, so employees don't tend to get bored. Yes, it's motivating, it's interesting. Job production is the most interesting one. Why? Because you get to do a lot of different things all the time, and you're gaining experience and you're getting new challenges and getting new things that you're doing that you never knew that you can be able to do them, right? Products made in job production are unique and often in demand. That's also another advantage. Most of the products are unique and they're in demand. The people, they like them because they know that I'm the only one with them. Nobody else has got that kind of thing. And also they charge high prices for products because of their uniqueness. These products, they have an advantage of charging a high price. That's why you say designer clothes, they're expensive. Why? Not because there's something special about it, just because it's different from the rest. That's what makes it expensive. And also it is more labor intensive. Setup costs are not expensive. There's no setting up that is required much here. You don't have to set up a lot of machines or like job or like batch or mass production, but actually it requires a lot of human labor, so large machines are not needed, right? So another advantage is it is not capital intensive. It's not expensive. It's cheap because it only requires a person who's able to be innovative and small amount of machines that you can use. A designer only needs a sewing machine and nothing more than that, and his own knowledge and innovation. That's all, right? Quality is excellence, as each product is made to own specifications. Yes, it requires high quality. Quality is essence, is very important here. Process is easy to control, and it is not necessary to wait for one product to be finished before starting another. You can do different projects at the same time. No stock is actually going to be kept because every project that you do is already in demand and is already wanted by somebody. You are doing it for a certain customer who has already ordered for it. Labor is highly skilled and quality of workmanship is high, right? Correct. Risk of low sales are guaranteed, right? There are no low sales because whatever you do usually is required. People are already giving you orders before even you do it, and usually you use deposits as a way of guarantee, so you don't lose any money. Disadvantages of this thing is workloads, right? Unbalanced workloads, high chances that sometimes you can receive high orders, too many orders, and all of them, they need to be done specifically according to the requirements, and it's hectic. Production costs are high because why you do each project separately, and it requires its own things. You buy things only specified for that project. When it's done, whatever things that you're left with, you cannot use them anymore. A customer comes to a designer, he wants a dress of yellow dress. You buy that yellow garment. When you're done using it, you're not gonna use it anymore because the next person who comes wants a red dress or a brown one, right? So its costs are high, and there's a lot of planning and administration work that is involved in doing those things because they are unique and they are different. And cost for each product will be different, so you need to calculate them carefully and make sure that you charge the customer properly. You don't have a standardized price. You say everything costs 5 rand. No, each product is different because of different quality and its uniqueness. And each product takes a lot of time. No, it takes a lot of time to do them. That's another disadvantage, though, guys. These are our 3 production systems. I'm sure now you understand what are production systems, ways that are used by business to produce goods. Business can use mass production where they produce goods in large quantities, identical and standardized, and business can use batch production where they can produce things in batches, in groups, for different flavors or different categories. Or they can use job production whereby you have a unique project each time that you're doing a once-off job. Those are 3 main production systems that you need to know, right? So on each production system you need to know the characteristics. After that you need to know the impact, which is the advantage and disadvantage of that production system. Thank you very much, guys. I'll see you next time, and then we talk about the production planning. Have a good day.